this video is going to be about scoring species already in DiscoverLife for characters and states of characters. We are right now in the Halictus guide, you can see here, and I've already added in the information up here that allows me to make changes. We've shown that elsewhere in other videos. So you can see I've added the and emails equal, in this case, my email, not the Yahoo one, and then and pin equals, which is the code that allows me to make changes and also allows us to see this set of instructions over here, which normally are invisible. And I'm going to get to that. You'll see, like, if I had added those in, I would click enter, refreshes the page, I click menu, there it is. So to score, we're going to pretend that we're going to score Halictus parallelis here. So we're going to click Halictus parallelis radio box and the radio button in front of score, and we're pressing enter or the submit button. And now you'll see a male and a female. And so these are two separate entities, obviously the same name. So they require scoring both if you're making changes to something that occurs in both a male and a female. You can't just change one, you have to change both. So we'll choose the male here, and you'll see something like this. Here you can see at the top, these are just jumps. So these are links to the guide. You can see what's unscored, and you can see what's scored here. When you move down, you see information about the species, scientific name, authority. Those can be changed. Right now, I'd say don't make any changes here to the any of the taxonomy. Here's another place. These are places you can add links to pictures that exist outside of DiscoverLife. In other words, we're not hosting them on DiscoverLife. You're simply linking to them, and they will be pulled up and presented at the bottom of a species page. Here's the link, for example, with a JPEG at the end, and here's the credit Tom Murray, and that will show up. We can talk about those more when people want to do them and give that a day or two for these things to show up. They don't show up right away like the scoring will. So if we look below, we see, first of all, we see a series of characters that have not been scored at all. So again, we're working on males, so obviously female characters aren't going to be scored anyway for that. And you can scroll down, and at some point you'll see the scored characters. So here, for example, are all the states and provinces we feel that Halictus parallelis could show up in. Okay, so we can subtract and add in any of these however we want by just simply clicking and then unclicking. So I clicked on Washington, I clicked it back off if I wanted to. If I'm like, oh, you know, they really don't occur in Vermont, or ever will likely ever occur in Vermont, I can click it off. Periodically, as we get more information in all of our systems about distribution and abundance of bees, we'll want to look, you know, in a very systematic way across all the species and make sure that our distributions here are up to date, because many times there's been jumps across several states in species occurrences, and so we want the guides to reflect that, because if we don't, then if someone clicks on that they're in Washington State, then Halictus parallelis in this case is going to disappear because it's not scored for being in Washington State, even though perhaps it can be. So anyway, we try to be conservative in terms of which states are clicked. And you see in broad strokes, there have been scored for almost every state in this particular case. We're working with male, so obviously we click on the male here. And then we have body lengths. Again, we're trying to very broadly capture what are both the actual measurement in some kind of world where all the measurements are taken super precisely, and the fact that sometimes you have curled up specimens and you have variation between large specimens and small specimens. So again, any of this can be changed by simply clicking things on and off. And that pattern continues. So you can make changes to any of these systems by clicking something on or off. I'm going to do something here just to show you how to make a change. I'm going to click on, for subgenus, I'm also going to click on Celadonia, which it is not. So we're going to undo this later, but we really don't need to go through any more details here right now because it's a simple matter of clicking things on and clicking things off. So now, okay, so I've made one change. I've added inappropriately, in this case, Celadonia as a subgenus, it's really Neolictis. And I'm going to click Save. Any of these Save buttons do the same thing. And what you'll see again is code because you're actually using the DiscoverLife features here to create code. And that's the way you should think about it. Like, okay, I've got a code string. If you see something up here that says something other than thanks saved on server, then you probably should stop and take a picture of that and send it to myself, Sam, or Claire. But this looks good. Thanks, saved on server. Use the refresh tool. That's it right there to make and activate the changes. So here's the actual code, not that anyone cares. Again, very simple. That's why we like DiscoverLife because it's portable. So now these changes sit in a folder somewhere, but aren't invoked within the system until we hit refresh. So we're going to hit refresh now. And again, we're looking up here, no error problems. So we're good. And then you look below, we have a list of species in sort of this format every single time. That looks good. We're going to say, okay, it must have made the changes, but always worth checking. So how do we check? We can check by hitting score and going back to Parallelus for the male and looking again, or we can reverse engineer it and look at has and look to see who is scored for being part of Celadonia. But because we're going to make changes anyway to get rid of Celadonia because it's not appropriate to look as Parallelus, we're going to go back in and do the same thing. Score Lictus Parallelus, not the female, because we did not make a change to the female. So in this case, the female has not been scored inappropriately for having been part of the genus, subgenus Celadonia, only the male. So we're clicking on the male, and we're going to go down past all the unscored ones, and we're going to go and find our subgenus again, and we're clicking off Celadonia, clicking save, and maybe I missed it that time. There we go. And it says the same sort of things. Hit refresh, no error messages. Hit refresh, no error messages. Here's a list of species, basically the same thing as you would get if you clicked on checklist. We're good, we did it. So we'll do a quick check. I'm just going to go back in on score, Elliptis Parallelus again. You know, it's always good to double check, particularly at the beginning here. And we're going to go down and look at the scorings for subgenus. Celadonia off, Neolictis on for finished. So that's how you make scorings of existing things. I'm done.